Morning. All right, so let me clarify my position on Roe v. Wade. Because I think maybe some people misinterpreted my last video. In my humble opinion, the decision of the Supreme Court to overturn Roe v. Wade was not about babies. It wasn't about religion. And it wasn't about abortion. It was about triggering you.
Get angry!
Wow.
You overturned Roe versus Wade.
You are pro, I get my way!
There is a war out there, and
It was about separating us.
To change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information,
Can't get it.
no one is able to come to sensible conclusions.
The hell with the Supreme Court!
It was about giving us one more thing to divide our attention.
Demoralization, it takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is
We're about to get to demoralize. Stand by.
the minimum number of years which requires to educate one generation of students exposed to the ideology. In other words,
Right.
Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic
Here she
values
comes.
of Americanism, American patriotism.
Get angry!
And set us at odds. Now, I think that a lot of people don't understand what's going on here. And that's not your fault. That's not your fault. There's a lot of very strong magic at play here. Strong sorcery.
We have the means to improve the state of the world.
And the way they start is by tracking you. If you go deep in the weeds in what these people are saying at this place, they're openly scheming up some of the craziest plans you'll ever hear of, like tracking your carbon footprint.
We're developing, through technology, an ability for consumers to measure their own carbon footprint. What does that mean? That's, where are they traveling? How are they traveling? What are they eating? What are they consuming on the platform? So, individual carbon footprint tracker. Stay tuned.
You heard it. The one world government wants to keep tabs on what you eat and where you go. All because John Kerry's a little mad that your cheeseburger is wiping out part of the population.
People forget, greenhouse gases are pollution. And 15 million people a year because of the quality of the air around the world. We're dealing with a crisis here, folks. It's a crisis made by human beings.
Maybe they should take their own advice before jetting off across the world on those private jets, emitting all that carbon.
This would be a government, a world government, where you don't get to vote on anybody. This is everybody's worst nightmare.
From the White House and the Office of the President of the United States, we present an address by Dwight D. Eisenhower.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. We must also be alert to the equal and opposite danger that public policy could itself become the captive of a scientific, technological elite.
And we'll be faced with equally consequential decisions in the 21st century. Can a microscopic tag be implanted in a person's body to track his every movement? There's actual discussion about that. You will rule on that, mark my words, before your tenure is over. Can brain scans be used to determine whether a person is inclined toward criminality or violent behavior? You will rule on that.
Overturning Roe v. Wade is how they really dig their claws into you. They dig that matrix into you, up under your skin like a tick buries itself, to give you one more thing to disagree with me about.
This is atrocious! This is war on women! How fucking dare the Supreme Court do this shit? F you, Kavanaugh!
Disagree with each other, your friends, your family, the people you supposedly love. You're separated by a box.
Because half you men prove that you don't know what an ectopic pregnancy is! Not everybody believes in your sky daddy!
You know what they do really well? Is control the conversation.
I watch.
Thanks to lack of moral standards. Exposure to
This sums it up right here, my friends.
true information does not matter anymore. A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him.
And if any of you out there are truly worried about my body, my choice, what the government's plans are for your bodily autonomy, well, my friend, you have much, much bigger fish to fry.
Can you imagine that in 10 years when we are sitting here, we have an implant in our brains, and I can immediately feel, because you all will have implants.
People will literally be part of a network. All the bodies, all the brains would be connected together to a network, and you won't be able to survive if you're disconnected from the net.
With AI taking over many of the unskilled and possibly some of the skilled activities, then there will be people for whom seems to be society. It won't have much use for these people.
We need to accept that there will be some pain in the process.
I think we're going to have to think about a recalibration of a whole range of human rights that are playing out online.
Individual carbon footprint tracker.
Many of these things will be built directly into our bodies.
That's a hostile corporate takeover of your body and a digital surveillance censorship dictatorship.
President Eisenhower tried to warn us about this years ago. The hostile takeover of a scientific,
technological elite.
They provide much more powerful intelligence for decision making.
Can a microscopic tag be implanted in a person's body to track his every movement? You will rule on that.
The next phase is the surveillance going under our skin.
Now that we've cracked the code of life, it will not take much longer before we can start to play God.
The new powers that we are gaining now, especially the powers of biotechnology and artificial intelligence, are really going to transform us into gods.
It's a total, complete AI takeover of every facet of human life, like Harari and others have been saying.
Given all the technological developments, it might be feasible, even easy, to support people, even if they don't work, to give them a universal basic income, to give them enough food, enough medicine, and so forth. The big question is meaning. What will they do all day? And one of the answers is that they will just play computer games all day.
Politics is like magic. See, what they do is they keep you looking over here while they do other things over here. And yeah, you know, the funny thing is they tell you those other things they're doing, but they say that quietly. What they say extremely loudly are the things that don't really matter. Like Roe v. Wade.
If you have enough data on a person, especially biometric data, and if you have enough computing power, you can understand that person better than the person understands himself or herself. And then you can control this person, manipulate them, and make decisions for them.
And I know what you're thinking, right? You're thinking, this nigga's crazy, man. He tripping. He just a crazy conspiracy theorist. Want me to prove it to you? I got proof. I can show you. Our maps, and not necessarily Google Maps, because Google Maps just copied the maps that were on the projector screen in our elementary school. So it's the same map, and it's the same lie. Your precious Google Maps that you use to get to and from the grocery store or from city to city, it's all a deception. It's not even real. Want me to prove it to you?
It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
What truth?
That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind. Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more. Follow me. Hey, Bach, are we online?
Almost.
Time is always against us. Please, take a seat there.